Hello there, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited that you've chosen to spend your time here. And this is me trying to figure out what I'm going to do first. Because today I'm making a whole bunch of breakfast burritos for my deep freezer. And while I'm doing this, I thought I would just chat a little bit about this idea that I cannot get out of my head. But first, let me tell you real quick what's in these breakfast burritos. There's going to be whitecap and portobello mushrooms, peppers, spinach, bacon, eggs, and cheese, all in a tortilla. I'm just going through and washing the mushrooms. I'm trying to really get all the dirt and grime off of them. It took me a little bit of extra effort. And let me tell you what I haven't been able to get out of my mind. If you've been following along on my podcast at all, you know that I've been highly aware of the harm caused by religious manipulation recently. And while I think that building awareness around these tactics is so crucial, it's also important to me to keep in mind that 80-10-10 rule that really has helped me to become so much more effective as a force of good in the world. And you should definitely listen to that episode if you don't know what I'm talking about. It goes into this concept in a lot more detail. But if I were to explain it in just a few sentences, this idea, which comes to me from Sherry Mitchell, is that we should spend 10% of our energy, attention, and focus noticing harm, another 10% stopping that harm, and then the full 80% rest of our attention and effort towards creating the world that we actually want to live in. That idea is so inspirational to me. It's a huge reason that I named that podcast. I had to take a moment here with Caleb to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I just can tell that I'm getting a little bit out of balance with the high control religious content. It's affecting my mood and quite honestly triggering me, which to me is just a sign again that I'm out of that balance. Anyway, so in all of this, I've seen, of course, a lot about trad wives and some of the high control themes that come under the model of hierarchy they often follow. And I just kept kind of combining these two things. I guess you could say combining them with the fact that in many ways my life looks like a trad wife's. I've been with my husband since I was 18 years old, who is the only man I've ever had sex with. We're married, we have a sweet little baby who I was so excited to have. I love to meal prep, I love to cook. I love homemaking. I love homesteading. I love gardening. I love being at home. I love a lot of traditionally feminine things. So I kept thinking, about this 80-10-10 rule and about what version of trad wives resonates more with me. And bear with me, okay? Because what I can't get out of my head is the idea of a modern wife or a mod wife. I know, but if a trad wife is a traditional wife, then what's the other side of that wife spectrum? It's got to be a modern wife, aka mod wife. Because high control leadership, the leadership of these communities sometimes kind of twists things to make it seem like there's only two options. You either subscribe to the traditional gender roles, to the hierarchy of the church or the community, or there are women who reject the entire structure, who are demonized in these communities. And of course, that is a whole different topic, the way that women's choices are demonized in some of these groups. For today, I'm really just sharing with you this idea of someone who is in a modern relationship where it feels like you can kind of get the best of both worlds, where you're really able to make your relationship yours and have it reflect unique individuals who are in it, where both partners are fully able to express all parts of their humanity and in that way actually develop a much closer do you love it when mama starts talking on this? And therefore actually develop a much closer relationship with one another. Their partners are helping them run the household that the two maintain. Mod wives may follow traditional gender roles, but without the feeling of being constricted and unable to explore other interests. When I think of this idea of mod wives versus trad wives, I also think of mod wives having better sex lives, because I imagine Because I imagine these relationships having more true intimacy and maybe less inhibition between each partner. Because, again, not that this is true of all trad wives by any means, but overall, the movement is pretty connected to high control religion, which can come with a whole host of sexual problems, from purity culture ingrained even after marriage to the lack of sexual education. People are often pretty discouraged from thinking about sex, talking about sex, anything like that, and all of those things certainly have an impact on your sex life. When there's trouble in a sex life like that, it's hard to find anywhere to turn. I feel like modern wives are opinionated, and that isn't seen as like a threat in their relationships because our husbands value our opinions and know that we have unique gifts and perspectives to share. I think, in my idea of modern wives and husbands, they're able to see the nuance and complexity of people, and so they have the flexibility to complement their partners. Like, I don't want to get my hands dirty, so thank God my husband's gonna take out the trash, but he's afraid of a little old spider, so I'm gonna catch it and bring it outside, that kind of a thing. And so, if they do fall along those traditional masculine and feminine lines, they're able to see the value in both and truly believe that both of those ways of being is equally important, unlike the hierarchies that sometimes emerge. In many trad wife households, the idea is kind of that the woman is there to serve her husband. And there's a real air of self-sacrificing that, from my perspective, does not lead to a healthy and happy and love-filled relationship. Because women are smart and inquisitive and, interested in things. We are not meant to just be servants. I think all people love to do acts of kindness for one another, especially the people that we love. So to me, it's kind of like the difference between allowing others to pour back into that mother or not. If your framework for the world is that things are set up in a hierarchy and the husband is the head of your household and therefore you serve him, no one is ever helping you. And we've seen how this burns women out, makes them feel like failures because they can't be the type of wife and mother that they want. Having a hierarchical structure between the leaders of a family unit puts an unnecessary barrier between the two, honestly. Think about it. How close are you able to get to your boss? You might do what your boss asks you to do, but inside your heart, you're likely not totally able to be your most authentic self or reveal your innermost thoughts. And so this applies to your relationship the same way. And I'd say that instead of being subordinate to their husbands, mod wives are best friends with their partners. And because of that, I also think that mod wives are confident. I think they're confident mothers and wives because they know that they are also being taken care of. They are allowing themselves to meet their own needs, care of themselves however they need, giving them a much higher capacity to then help meet the needs of others and to work with their partners to run their households and care for their children. And it's such a beautiful thing. I'm definitely going to talk more on this channel about these kind of relationships and why they're so much stronger and sturdier and lead to more joy-filled lives. I see relationships as far too complex to assign a one-size-fits-all mandate to, and I wholeheartedly believe in the value and worth of every person. I don't believe in hierarchies of people based on gender, race, sexual orientation, ability, etc. So I think that the ideal is that you enter into a relationship with another person that complements your gifts and strengths enough, and you grow together and you learn to continue to make a great team. And in my opinion, that is how strong relationships are created. Okay, that's it for my, thoughts on this topic for today. Let me tell you just a little bit more about these breakfast burritos. They are so convenient to have on hand. We'll put them in the toaster oven for like 30 minutes maybe, and they come out perfect. They're such a great breakfast item for us to have during the week when we're busy or anything like that. I love to make these a bunch of different ways, putting different veggies and different combinations of ingredients. I recently also made some beef and black bean burritos, like a dinner time burrito for the deep freezer. So if you're interested in this kind of thing, batch cooking, homemaking, etc., but maybe some of the tenets of trad wifery make you uncomfortable, well, I hope that you are feeling welcome here. Thanks so much for watching. Please consider subscribing, and I will see you next time. Bye.